All right, welcome to the Shakopee City Council meeting for November 5th, 2014. Ms. Weckman, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Lehman.
Here.
Councilmember Mokel.
Here.
Councilmember Luce.
Here.
Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
Mayor Tapke.
Here. All stand for the pledge. I pledge
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 3, approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight? Mr. McNeil?
Mr. Mayor, item 4A1, which regards a cooperative agreement for the 169 Transit Way Managed Lane Study, is requested to be deleted. We'll bring this back at a future meeting. And then if you also note that there's revision to 4B1 regarding delinquent storm drainage.
All right, thank you. Anything from council on the agenda?
That was 4B3, right?
4B3, I'm sorry.
Okay. Anything from council on the agenda? All right, entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Councilor Mokel,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
do you have a second?
Second.
Councilor Luce, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4, consent business. Anything to remove or add to consent this evening? Councilor Lehman.
4D3, 4D4.
3 and 4D4. 4D4, the adoption of Metro City's draft language legislative policy, just to vote against it, or do you want to talk about it?
Well, we can talk about it and I'll vote against it.
All right, we'll leave it there. Councilor Mokel, did you want to put 10A1 on consent and then just abstain from consent? Because you can do that.
How would that?
I'll move to put it on consent. That makes you
I'm
feel
fine.
better?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Just voted for everything else, but abstain from that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do that? Okay.
A point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
Does she need to abstain from something that doesn't affect her financially in this situation?
Mr. Mayor and Council, there's a possibility this could affect her financially.
Okay.
All right, so we'll toss 10A1 up onto consent. So we've removed 4D3 and 4D4 and eliminated 4A1. Everybody clear? And added 10A1 to consent. All right, so entertain a motion for consent. Councilor Whiting.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Mokel. Mr. McNeil, could you please read the consent business?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. 4A1 was deleted from consent agenda. 4A2 confirms the City Council's assignment of the city's rights and obligations under the agreements listed in the report to the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority. 4B1 adopts resolutions 7508 and 7509 certifying delinquent false alarms and mowing bills for collection on the tax rolls payable 2015. 4B2 approves an extension agreement with WSB and Associates, Inc. to prepare a grant application for a 169 pedestrian and bicycle bridge connecting County Road 101 Trail, Quarry Lakes Regional Park, and the Dean Lakes Southbridge areas. 4B3 was the revised one on the table. That adopts Resolution 7510 certifying delinquent storm drainage for collection on the tax rolls payable 2015. 4B4 authorizes the extension agreement with WSB and Associates for a limited Phase 2 environmental site assessment and MTCA Petroleum Brownfield Services for MnDOT Parcel 37. 4C1 adopts Resolution 7512 accepting the work of K.A. Witt Construction for the Southbridge Community Park Project and authorizes final payment. 4D1 authorizes payments of bills and electronic transfers in the amount of $484,203.55. 4D2 approves minutes of the October 21st, 2014 City Council meeting. 4D3 and 4D4 were removed from consent agenda, and added to consent agenda was 10A1, which authorizes massage therapy business renewals. We understand that Councilor Mokel will be abstaining from that vote.
Any discussion on the consent items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 5, recognition of involved citizens by City Council. At this time, anyone who is here for an item that is not on our agenda for this evening, we've got a bunch of public hearings tonight, but an item that's not on our agenda can have 5 minutes to talk with us if they'd like. All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 6A, public hearing certifying assessments for the 2014 Street Recon Project, number 2014-1. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing. Councilor Lehman.
Motion to move to open a public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mokel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. We are in public hearing. Mr. Wine.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is the assessment hearing for the 2014 street reconstruction project. The streets in this year's project was Fuller Street from 6th to 8th, Atwood from 6th to Shakopee Avenue, Scott and Apgar from 7th to 10th Avenue, and 7th Avenue and Shakopee Avenue from Apgar to Fuller. Here's a couple pictures on Atwood Street, one before construction, one after construction. Total project costs came in at roughly $2.28 million. Approximately $343,000 will be assessed. $375,000 funded through the sanitary sewer fund. $315,000 through the storm sewer fund. $489,000 Shakopee Public Utilities, and $754,000 Capital Improvement Fund. We are proposing to assess 30% of the street improvements on a per lot basis. Corner lots are assessed a half lot for each street reconstructed. So if you're on a corner and both streets were reconstructed, you get a full assessment. If only one of the streets were reconstructed, you get a half of an assessment. The proposed assessment rate is $3,651.60 a lot. Proposed payback period is 10 years at an interest rate of 5%. And one other thing to mention, we are having a number of issues with the lawn restoration. So for the residents watching at home, we know we have issues with seed and topsoil, and we'll be fixing that in the spring of the year.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wine? From council. Mr. Lehman.
Mayor, I got two questions. During this project early on, there was residents that were here specifically about some sidewalk issues, and I think the church was here about parking issues. Did we resolve all that? And
We did. We ended up putting the on-street parking back in for the church. And I didn't hear,
sidewalks didn't go anywhere? and-
yeah, so the sidewalks that didn't go anywhere, we took out.
Okay.
And we did leave the sidewalk on the north side of 7th Avenue.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, this is a public hearing, so anyone who is here tonight would like to speak and about the public hearing, about this specific public hearing. We've got two other ones this evening. You can have up to 5 minutes to chat with us and talk. Anybody for the public hearing tonight?
And one other thing I forgot to mention, one resident did reserve their right to appeal the assessment. So we did get one letter.
Okay. All right, anyone who'd like to talk? All right, seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Councilor Lehman, do
Motion to close public hearing?
we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Whiting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. I will entertain a motion on the assessments. Councilor Lehman,
Offer Resolution 7505, resolution adopting assessments for the 2014 street reconstruction project number 214-1.
do we have a second? Councilor Luce, second. Nice work. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just for the person who's objected, I don't know if she's here or if she submitted something, it is important for her to understand that in order to perfect the appeal, she does need to take certain action within 30 days of tonight's hearing, assuming the assessment roll gets adopted, and I just wanted to make sure that she was aware of that fact.
Thank you. I'm assuming that will be communicated or has been communicated?
It has been.
Oh, thank you very much. All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor, correct? Is where we're at right now? All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Sorry, Councilor Lehman. Did you?
I was just gonna ask if anybody knows what the basis for looking at appealing their assessment when the assessment amount is pretty consistent with past years, which is pretty surprising, actually. Just curious.
Okay. Item 6B, public hearing certifying assessments for Valley View Road Improvements, project number 2012-7. Councilor Whiting.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Councilor Luce.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you want a second on that one?
Sure, why not?
I cut you off earlier, so I'm just trying to spread the love here. All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. We are open for public hearing. Mr. Loney.
Okay, Mayor and members of council, this is a public hearing for Valley View Road improvements. Should be, there we go. And this is an improvement project. It was done with conjunction with the County Road 17 here we go, from Evergreen Lane. We made the connection from Valley View all the way to Saracen Street. Portion of this project was it was a city project, basically the easterly half of Valley View from Saracen to the new hospital entrance, and the westerly half in this area. The rest of it was built with the County Road 17 project. This drawing here kind of shows the properties involved in the assessment. St. Francis Regional Medical Center, Beta Seed on the east leg, and on the west leg, we have Beta Seed on both sides of Valley View, as well as Hailstack and Thompson parcels. This was a council-initiated project, and it was partly due because of reconstruction of 17. We ordered a preliminary engineering report on October 4th, 2011. We adopted this report on March 20th, 2012, and established a public hearing on April 17th, 2012, and went through the project. Much of the project was built last year, but also extended into this year. It's finally almost completed on our end. So, also with this project, you asked us to obtain benefit appraisals for the Thompson and Hailstack properties, which we did. We approved plans and ordered the advertising for bids, and we awarded a contract to Northwest Asphalt last August 7th, 2013, and tonight's the adoption of the hearing, or adoption of the assessments. This is a preliminary assessment roll, which I want to key in here. For the reason for the benefit appraisals was the Hailstack and Thompson parcels. We knew they were quite high, and based on our assessment policy, the Thompson parcel was 94,000 and the Hailstack was 65 in the preliminary assessment. And there's other figures you can keep in mind too. But the benefit appraisal was done on these properties. The Thompson came in at 13,750 and the Hailstack parcel came in at 36,000. So we capped those assessments in your assessment roll. So with this, we propose to assess $870,000. That's what the number came in at. It's less than the preliminary, which was 1.1 million. The amount from the benefit appraisals, the $75,000 that was reduced from those assessments, was picked up by other funding sources. Other funding source will be Capital Improvement Fund, Sanitary Sewer Fund, and Shakopee Public Utilities. So the new assessment roll that's before you, we capped the Hailstack parcel at 36,000, the Thompson parcel at 13,750, and the Beta Seed parcel and the St. Francis parcel all went down, partly because of working with the county and utilizing federal funding to the extent that we could on the project. Your action tonight is offer resolution 7506, adopting assessments for Valley View Road Improvement Project number 2012-7. Questions?
Questions on this project? Councilor Lehman.
If the hospital and Beta Seed appeal their assessments and get a benefit analysis appraisal, what happens then?
Well, if they do appeal their assessment, then the appeal process, and Mr. Thompson can go through, it's more of a legal matter that both would have to do appraisals and go into district court and see where we're at.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's correct. But in addition, as we mentioned the last public hearing, in order to proceed further with an appeal, they have to file a written objection tonight at or before the time of this public hearing. I don't believe we've received any.
I have not received any appeals.
Councilor Lehman.
So just if their benefit in Beta C's case would be that if they were going to develop the property and we had to put in a road to get to the property, we'd be putting this road in. They would pay for the road. We'd pay for the oversizing. That'd be part of their development project, blah, blah, blah. Is that Is that kind of how it works? I mean, we stubbed it, just got a stub in
But
there.
their benefit is that they have, I mean, they've got now sewer and water and street access to a large property that can be subdivided.
Right.
So that's the benefit.
And I believe that staff has been doing a great job of working with both of those entities to not necessarily eliminate, but reduce those issues, and have been in constant communication with all of them. And so I think they've done a great job, and I haven't heard of any issues that way myself. So I think it's in pretty good shape there. Councilor Whiting.
I think, as we talked before, there was some amount of right-of-way acquisition here that might offset some of these assessments.
The numbers that they receive, both Beta Seed and the hospital, are quite large and can actually cover their assessment.
Well, I was not really worried about,
No, they got
about those guys.
compensated pretty well on
I
the
was worried
project.
about the Hailsticks and the.
Hailstead also received, and Thompson, they all both, everybody got right-of-way money from the county and the city.
Thank you.
When will this project be done?
County Road 17,
That
and
whole-
our project's done.
right, but
Valley
when
View.
will it all be open and ready to use? Do we know?
It's supposed to be done, I think, by Thanksgiving.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions? All right, this is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak on this item with us? Anyone? All right, entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Councilor Mokel,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
seconded by Councilor Luce. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Entertain a motion for, it's on the floor. Adopt resolution. Councilor Whiting.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 7506, a resolution which adopts the assessments for the Valley View Road Improvements Project Number 2012-7.
We have a second. Second by Councilor Luce. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to 6C, public hearing certifying assessments for Valley Park Business Center Improvements Project number 2013-6. Mr. Loney.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is our last public hearing for assessments.
Oh, sorry, I didn't open the public hearing.
Oh.
Councilor Lehman.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councilor Mokel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Okay, this is our last public hearing for assessments for the year, this year. And this project, Valley Park Business Center. And a little background here, last year we adopted a motion improving plans and ordering ads for bids. We got the bids in, accepted bids to Northwest Asphalt last August 20th. And October 7th, we declared the cost to be assessed and ordered the preparation of assessments. This project really was to complete the improvements for Emerson and Opus out there in what's called Valley Park Business Center. In our agreements with the developers, 55% of the assessable improvements would go to Emerson, 45% to Opus. In addition, Opus has platted Valley Park Second Edition, so there's one lot and the rest is an outlot. We did reapportion their assessment to those lots. The assessment roll that's before you has these numbers: 1.77 million for Emerson, about 400,000 for Lot 1, Block 1, Valley Park Second, and 1 million for Opus in their outlot. So a total of $3.219 million to be assessed. The breakdown here, I just want to point out, the actual project cost was $3,840,996 total project costs. We did have some park reserve and some storm drainage off-site improvements with the project that we're picking up. And this is a project cost summary of that. We have the assessments of 3.219, 81,000 out of storm, $540,000 for park reserve, that's for the trail, and the box culvert crossing into public access into Quarry Lake Park. We also have something that the city is supposed to receive funding from deed. Those funds are supposed to be around, should be about $900,000, and they would go against Emerson's assessment. We have not got confirmation yet of that from the state. It's in progress. It should be here any day, but it's not here tonight. If it was here tonight, we would reduce the assessment by $900,000 to Emerson. We talked to Emerson people, and they would like us to, we could have the public hearing, close the public hearing, and then table action to the next council meeting. By that time, we should know if we have the $900,000 from deed that we could apply to the assessment. So their assessment would go down to $870,000. So your action tonight, I'm not asking you to adopt a resolution, but to conduct a public hearing, close it, and then table action until November 18th.
All right, Jim, is it best to continue the public hearing or close the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, in this situation, I think you can open it. If no one's here to speak, you can close it.
Close it?
You're
Okay.
only involved with two parties here, and we've been in constant communication with them, so they know what's going
Okay.
on.
Perfect. All right, any questions from council? All right, seeing none, if there's anyone here to speak for the public hearing this evening? All right, seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Councilor Luce, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Mokel. Any discussion? Councilor Whiting?
I'll make a motion to table this resolution until.
Hold on just a moment. We gotta close public hearing first.
Go ahead.
Any discussion on closing the public hearing?
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passed unanimously. Councilor Whiting?
I'll make a motion to table this item till our next meeting,
November
November
18th.
November 18th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilor Lehman, seconds. Tabling to November 18th. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. We're tabling this item to November 15th, 18th. Thank you. All right. Thank you, sirs. Moving on to item number 7, business removed from consent agenda. We have item number 4D3, approval of contract for private development, including a business subsidy agreement with Shutterfly, Inc. Do you have any discussion or just want to vote against it?
I wanted to know if they are gonna meet the job requirement for starters.
Hi, good evening.
Hello?
So your question is, will they meet their job requirement?
Yeah, the memo kinda talks about it, so. and then
It sure
you guys
does.
are-
So how business subsidy law works is you have 2 years to meet the job goals. So in here, they will have 2 years from the benefit date. Typically, the benefit date is when they got their certificate of occupancy. So they'll have 2 years from their certificate of occupancy date to create the 258 permanent full-time positions. If they don't meet those, then there is provisions in here in which they would have to pay us back the funds. And thank goodness our tax abatement and the MIF is all basically the tax abatement specifically is pay as you go. So if they aren't meeting those job goals, they won't get the tax abatement.
Further questions? Councilor Lehman?
An off-topic question just comes to mind. If they change minimum wage laws to 15, does that have any impact on anything?
Typically, it doesn't go backwards. How the state moves it forward is that everything then going forward would have to meet those. You'll see in this agreement that they have to meet an average wage of $18.73 per hour.
Right?
So typically, you're supposed to have a standard base salary as well. So in the MIF agreements, they specifically will have a lowest base wage, which is our $14.50 an hour.
Further questions? All right, do we have a motion? Councilor Whiting?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 7511, a resolution approving the contract for private development with the Economic Development Authority for the City of Shakopee, Minnesota, Scott County, and Shutterfly Incorporated for certain property in the City of Shakopee.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Mokel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1 with Councilor Lehman in dissent. 4D4, adoption of Metro Cities draft legislative policy positions. Just so everybody knows, Metro Cities is an organization that we are a member of that represents a lot of the cities in the metro. It's a very descriptive name of their organization. And so with that, they every year draft legislative policy positions that in general go for improving cities at the legislature. We don't have to agree with all of them. We don't have to agree with majority of them. We just have to understand that this is what they are pushing for, and we can work with them if there are things that need to be changed. We have a couple representatives that'll be at their meeting on Thursday, tomorrow, a week from Thursday, to be there. So, Councilor Lehman?
First question is, does anybody here know if this was made available to the residents of Shakopee?
It was posted online along with the other information in the council packet.
Okay? And then has everybody on council read it?
Early.
Well, who's read it and who hasn't read it?
I've read it.
Okay? Those that have read it, do you support this?
I support the concepts, yes.
Okay?
There are individual things in there that I do not agree with, but
Alright.
I, in general, support the concepts, yes.
Well, there's a lot in here that I don't agree with. And the
Matt,
legal-
we have this discussion every year, and in this, their goal is to give cities the power to make their own choices. We don't have to agree with those choices. We don't have to advocate for those choices, and they're not necessarily advocating for the cities to do those things, just the cities that have the ability to do them. So I don't want to get into a big, long conversation about this,
That's a legal question I'll ask next.
okay?
When we adopt this, it goes to metro cities. They have various adopted motions by various cities, and they go to the legislators and they lobby on behalf of all these cities for this position, saying that this is the city's official position. So if Mr. Johnson up on 10th Street decides to go to his state legislator and say, I disagree with this, this, and this, technically, this is the city official position. So we have circumvented his ability to seek regress from his elected state official.
That is not true.
That's what I'm asking.
Mayor, Mr. Council, that's, when they go to the legislature, they're adopting the position, just, I mean, if we use the League of Minnesota as an city's example, they're putting forward what the league believes is the proper, they're not specifically advocating any individual city. City is free to hire their own lobbyist and advocate a different position than, in this case, the metro cities do. They're an organization, they ask the cities to support, or that's maybe the right phrase, feedback on their policies. But when they go to the legislature, they're not speaking for the city of XYZ, they're speaking for the organization itself.
Okay. Well, like and for the residents at home, like the League of Minnesota Cities legislative policy, this is probably the biggest pile of crap I've seen in a while. But anyway,
All right, do we have a motion? From anyone? Councilor Mogul,
I'll make a motion to adopt the Metro Cities draft legislative policies position.
do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Somebody, Councilor Whiting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
aye.
Passes 4-1 with Councilor Lehman in dissent. All right, entertain a motion to recess item number 8 for Economic Development Authority meeting.
Make a motion to recess for the meeting.
Councilor Luce, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mokel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. It is yours, President Lehman.
All right, please note to roll. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the agenda would be in order. Mr.
So
Whiting?
move.
Seconded by Mr. Luce. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Consent is the EDA minutes. Approval of a contract for private development. Any changes to consent besides me taking 3B off? Consent agenda approval. Mr. Whiting?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Seconded by Kathy Mokel.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. 3B, taken off consent by myself. Obviously, I'm going to vote against it. I have a hard time giving handouts to rich, large businesses from struggling taxpayers. So if somebody wants to make the motion for that, I'll vote against it. Mr. Whiting,
Make a motion to approve the contract for private development, including the business subsidy agreement with Shutterfly Resolution Number 2014-6.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Tabke, motion by Mr. Whiting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, myself. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn, Ms. Mokel.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to Tuesday, November 18th at 7 PM.
Is there a second? Mr. Luce? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.
All right, thank you very much. We reconvene the Shakopee City Council meeting and move on to item number 11A, discussion of communications goals and priorities for 2015. Ms. Holtz, do you want us to go up there? Okay, so entertain a motion for recess for 5 minutes to move up to the table for everyone.
I'll make a motion to recess for 5 minutes.
Councilor Moll, do we have a second? Second, Councilor Luce. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passed unanimously. We're in recess for 5 minutes.